In 1886, a pharmacist in Atlanta mixed up a batch of brown syrup. It contained cocaine, yes, actual cocaine. He claimed it cured headaches, nervousness, and even morphine addiction. Within 50 years, that same formula would be sold in almost every country on Earth. Today, the company is worth over $280 billion. But how did a drug become the world's favorite drink? This is the story of Coca-Cola, a beverage so powerful, it's estimated 1.9 billion servings are consumed every single day. That's more than 21,000 drinks per second. But Coca-Cola's journey wasn't about making a great product. It was about selling a feeling, a memory, an identity. Today, we debate sugar taxes, corporate influence, and globalization, but Coca-Cola's playbook invented modern marketing as we know it. By the end of this story, you'll understand how one man's medicinal experiment became the most recognized brand in human history, and why the secret formula is still locked in a vault. Let's go back to 1886, Atlanta, Georgia. The Civil War had ended decades earlier, but the South was still broken. Enter Dr. John Stith Pemberton, a 55-year-old pharmacist, a Confederate veteran, and a morphine addict. During the war, Pemberton was wounded in combat. Like many soldiers, he turned to morphine for pain. By the 1880s, he was desperately searching for a cure. His solution? Create his own medicine. Pemberton had already launched several tonics. French wine coca, globe flower cough syrup, Indian queen hair dye, none of them made real money. But he believed his next formula would be different. He began experimenting with coca leaves, the same plant used to make cocaine. At the time, cocaine wasn't illegal. In fact, it was praised as a miracle cure. Pemberton mixed coca extract with cola nut, caffeine, and cocaine in one bottle. He called it Pemberton's French wine coca. It sold as a brain tonic and intellectual beverage. But in 1886, Atlanta passed prohibition laws. Alcohol was banned. Pemberton had to pivot. He removed the wine, added carbonated water, and renamed it Coca-Cola. His bookkeeper, Frank Robinson, came up with the name. Robinson thought the two C's would look good in advertising. He even designed the iconic Spencerian script logo, the same logo we recognize today. On May 8, 1886, Coca-Cola was sold for the first time at Jacob's Pharmacy in Atlanta, 5 cents a glass. Pemberton believed he had a hit, but reality hit harder. In the first year, Coca-Cola sold only 9 drinks per day. Total revenue about $50. Pemberton had spent $70 on advertising. He was losing money. Worse, his morphine addiction was draining his finances. He was sick, desperate, broke. Pemberton needed cash fast. So he started selling off pieces of the company. He sold portions to different business partners. One of them was Asa Candela, a fellow pharmacist and sharp businessman. Pemberton died in August 1888, penniless, never knowing what his formula would become. But Asa Candela saw something Pemberton didn't. Coca-Cola wasn't just a drink, it was a brand. Asa Candela bought full control of Coca-Cola in 1891. Total cost? About $2,300. The deal of the century. Candela made a bold decision. He stopped selling Coca-Cola as medicine. Instead, he positioned it as a refreshing beverage. A drink for pleasure, not pain. This was radical. At the time, sodas were still seen as drugstore remedies. Candela also did something no one else was doing. He spent money, lots of it, on advertising. He distributed free drink coupons, over 8.5 million coupons by 1913. He plastered the Coca-Cola logo on calendars, clocks, posters, and serving trays. Everywhere you looked, you saw Coca-Cola. He sent salesmen across the country with one mission: make Coca-Cola unavoidable, and it worked. By 1895, Coca-Cola was sold in every US state, but Canada faced a new problem: imitators. Hundreds of copycat sodas flooded the market: Coca-Cola, Toca-Cola, Fig-Cola. Canada needed something competitors couldn't copy. In 1915, Coca-Cola launched a design contest. The goal: create a bottle so unique you'd recognize it in the dark. The Root Glass Company in Indiana won. They designed the iconic contour bottle: curvy, elegant, unmistakable, inspired by the shape of a cocoa pod. It became one of the most recognized shapes in the world, but the real genius move came earlier. In 1899, two lawyers approached Canada, Benjamin Thomas and Joseph Whitehead. They wanted bottling rights. Canada didn't believe in bottled drinks. He thought fountain sales were the future. So he sold them bottling rights for $1. This turned out to be Coca-Cola's smartest accident. Bottling transformed Coca-Cola from a regional soda to a global empire. By 1920, there were over 1,000 Coca-Cola bottling plants in the US. The company didn't own them. It franchised the system. Bottlers bought the syrup, added carbonated water, sold the finished product. Coca-Cola made money on every bottle without owning a single bottling plant. Brilliant. During World War II, Coca-Cola made another genius move. Company President Robert Woodruff declared, "Every man in uniform gets a bottle of Coca-Cola for 5 cents, wherever he is and whatever it costs." The US military built 60 for bottling plants overseas. Soldiers drank Coca-Cola on the battlefield. When they came home, they craved it. And when American culture spread globally after the war, Coca-Cola came with it. By 1960, Coca-Cola was in over 100 countries. So how does Coca-Cola actually make money? 3 main revenue streams. 1. Selling concentrated syrup to bottlers. 2. Owning bottling operations in key markets. 3. Licensing and merchandising. In 2023, Coca-Cola generated $45.7 billion in revenue. The company sells over 500 beverage brands: Sprite, Fanta, Dasani, Minute Maid, Powerade, but Coca-Cola Classic remains the crown jewel. It's sold in over 200 countries, more than the United Nations has members. The secret formula, known as Merchandise 7X, is still locked in a vault at the World of Coca-Cola Museum in Atlanta. Only to living people know the full recipe. Or so the legend goes. This mystery is marketing gold. People don't just drink Coca-Cola, they consume the myth. But Coca-Cola's success came with a cost. The original formula contained cocaine. Estimates suggest about 9 milligrams per glass. By 1903, public pressure forced Coca-Cola to remove it. They switched to spent coca leaves. Cocaine-free, but still from the same plant. Then came the sugar wars. In the 1980s and 90s, health advocates targeted Coca-Cola. Obesity rates were climbing. Coca-Cola was blamed. The company fought back with Diet Coke and Coke Zero, but criticism didn't stop. In 1999, Coca-Cola was sued for racial discrimination. The lawsuit alleged systemic bias against black employees. Coca-Cola settled for $190.5 million. In India, Coca-Cola faced accusations of depleting groundwater. Communities protested, some plants were shut down. In 2006, Coca-Cola and Pepsi products were banned in several Indian states. Pesticide contamination was the claim, and then there's the environmental impact. Coca-Cola produces 3 million tons of plastic packaging every year, making it one of the world's biggest plastic polluters. Activists have called for boycotts. Coca-Cola promises change, but the damage is real. Asa Canela once said, "If all of Coca-Cola's assets were destroyed tomorrow, I could walk into any bank and borrow enough money to rebuild it all because of the value of the brand." Robert Woodruff believed, a Coca-Cola within arm's reach of desire, that obsession with availability built an empire. Warren Buffett, one of Coca-Cola's biggest investors, said, "If you gave me $100 billion and said take away the soft drink leadership of Coca-Cola in the world, I'd give it back to you and say it can't be done." Even critics acknowledge Coca-Cola's power. Michael Blanding, author of The Coke Machine, wrote, "Coca-Cola doesn't sell a drink. It sells happiness, and you can't compete with that." So let's come back to the beginning, a wounded pharmacist, a morphine addict. Mixing coca leaves in a basement, he thought he was curing disease. Instead, he created a feeling. Coca-Cola never really sold a beverage. It sold nostalgia, summer barbecues, movie nights, first dates. The company mastered something most brands never do. It attached itself to human memory. Dr. Pemberton died broke. He never saw Coca-Cola's rise. But Asa Candela saw the vision, Robert Woodruff executed it. And now, 138 years later, Coca-Cola is everywhere. In vending machines, in restaurants, in homes. It survived to world wars, the Great Depression, and countless competitors. The secret formula is still locked away. But the real secret was never the recipe, it was the brand. For entrepreneurs, branding beats product. Coca-Cola isn't the best tasting soda, but it's the most recognized. Invest in your brand early. Distribution is everything. Coca-Cola's franchise bottling system turned a regional drink into a global empire. Make your product unavoidable. Sell emotion, not features. Coca-Cola never sold sugar water. It sold happiness, memories, and belonging. For investors, bet on brands with pricing power. Coca-Cola can charge a premium because of its emotional connection with consumers. Network effects matter. The more places Coca-Cola appeared, the more familiar it became. Familiarity builds trust. For everyone, legends are built, not born. The secret formula myth isn't just secrecy, it's storytelling. Mystery sells. So here's my question for you. Is Coca-Cola a product, or is it a piece of culture? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button. And if you want more deep dives into the companies that shaped our world, subscribe. Next up, we're covering the rise and fall of Blockbuster. How a video rental giant ignored Netflix and lost everything. See you in the next one.